he has to vacate the courtroom, or it's possible we will hear from him again later on today. I wonder if you think this strategy is still going to be effective. Certainly during the primary campaign, to the extent that there was one, this was something that galvanized the base. It did work for him to use courthouse appearances as campaign stops. He was fundraising off of it. We're in the general election now for all intents and purposes. Does the playbook need to change on that front?
I think it needs to adjust. You're still going to see those campaign emails, those fundraising emails coming out and saying, I'm, being persecuted. This is a witch hunt. This is an unfair trial, all these things. But his inability to control himself and to control his impulses, to lash out, to speak out, to violate the gag order time and time again, it's going to wear on people. And it already sort of is. And, I don't know how much it'll move the needle for his loyalists. They're going to be loyalists no matter what. They'll probably tune out most of this and just stick with their plan to vote for Trump. But for those that are going to really make or break this election, this kind of behavior and not taking it seriously and not actually trying to rise above some of this, childish behavior will wear on them.
It'll wear on them, and I just wonder to what extent people will start paying attention for it to wear on them, though, Kristen. Is it Labor Day? What's the time horizon that Joe Biden has to make this case for people who are not paying attention?
I mean, I think it's a long way till Election Day still. You and I are sitting here and we pay attention to it every single day, but I think that people get tired of this and not everybody's sitting in front of cable news watching this.
So we could have a verdict by the time it matters.
Exactly. So I think that the timing on this is up in the air. It's up to the president and his campaign team to remind people, and this is just the first of many, court appearances. So, we'll see how this actually impacts the vote, closer to November.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and of course, this is more a kind of one of the ways in which Biden is trying to contrast himself with Trump in terms of the legal issues, in terms of threats to democracy. But we were just hearing from Billy there on this swing district in New Mexico. It's districts like this where perhaps more minds are not made up or more subject to change. And what they're talking about is the border. How should messaging focus on issues at a time when also there is a very easy contrast you could paint by saying, okay, look who's in a courtroom and who's not?
Right, and I think that's what some of the problems are here, too, is that this is all focused on Trump. Trump is focused on himself. He's talking about this witch hunt against him. He is personally being attacked. He's not talking about why he's running in the first place, why he wants to be president, what he's going to do for the people that he purports to be defending and to be running for. And I think that's really where you're going to need to see the candidates themselves talk about forward-looking issues that matter to the voters and not on past disgruntles and frustrations they have, personal ones, personal vendettas. I think people are exhausted by it, and they want to hear, what are you going to do for me? That's what people are going to draw people to the booths, in November.
Well, Maura and Senators Tom Cotton, Dick Durbin, and Tom Tillis on Capitol Hill earlier today. And back with us now, our political panel, Maura Gillespie, founder and principal at Blue Stack Strategies, and Kristen Hahn of Rock Solutions. So, Kristen, essentially what you heard from the senators there is they might have to just take what they can get from the House in whatever form it comes. It seems that what Mike Johnson has settled on is splitting aid for Ukraine, aid for Israel, aid for the Indo-Pacific, and another package that will include repo and other things all up. We haven't seen the text yet. Would it behoove Democrats, whether in the House or the Senate, to just go along with whatever ultimately is able to get on the floor and pass it, considering they have been asking for this aid to pass for quite a long time?
Well, I think it's not a new strategy to split these bills up so the members don't have to vote for everything that they don't want to vote for, and then you cobble them together and send them over to the Senate. And in what would look a lot like what the Senate actually passed, which Senator Durbin was discussing by a large bipartisan vote. So I think if anything's going to get done, Speaker Johnson's going to have to work with the Democrats. He's going to have to put together a coalition of votes that are Republicans who want to get something done, Democrats who want to get something done, and maybe depart from the fringes of both sides.
Maura, you worked for Speaker John Boehner, and you understand parliamentary procedure here. If you're Mike Johnson and you don't have the votes to get all of these done right now, and again, we don't have legislative text to be talking about here, but there's a very good chance he's going to have to work around the Rules Committee. He hasn't been able to get a rule on the floor that has worked for some time. I think 7 have failed. So in that world, we suspend the rules and require Democrats to vote for apparently each of these things. Is it possible for him to pull this off and look smart by breaking them up? Or is this a fool's errand? One of them ends up failing, if not all of them, and we're back to square one.
I think that his attempt to give his members cover was strategic, and also to help get these aid bills across the floor in a way that he thinks is only possible. Yes, will it require Democrats to vote with him and with the majority of the Republican Party passing these bills? Absolutely. But that's going to be a given on any bill at this point because he has such a slim majority and is getting slimmer by the day. So it will be incredibly important for really all members to do a gut check and decide, do I want to play politics today or do I want to get this passed and actually provide aid to our allies around the world?
Well, more Democrats might also be needed to help save the Speaker's gavel if this motion to vacate actually moves. If you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tom Massey going to vote to oust the Speaker and Mike Gallagher retires at the end of the week, you're going to need at least one Democrat. That's just how the math works. Do you see the mathing in favor of Johnson or against him if this all actually comes to fruition?
I think if you have Democrats like a Tom Suozzi and others who have said that they would, and Moskowitz, I believe he has also said that they would vote to table the motion to vacate the chair, and that's what that Johnson would need that. He would need probably a couple others too, because you then have Thomas Massey telling everyone that he's got a whole roster of people who are going to
more than McCarthy
that's going to stand behind him. So I think he's going to need Democrats to again do a sort of check. Okay, what do I want to get across? Do I want to get aid done? Do I want to actually see this legislative body produce something, or continue to play politics, continue to play games with really our security too? I mean, helping our allies is for our benefit as well here in the United States. And so making that case to constituents is going to be super important, both for Johnson, but also for the Democrats who do decide to hopefully table the motion.
I still think it's fascinating. The language we're hearing, Kayleigh, from Marjorie Taylor Greene today, she says she's being careful. He's definitely not going to be Speaker next Congress if we're lucky enough to have the majority. That does not sound like somebody who's about to make this a privileged resolution. We'll find out in the next couple of days. Kristen Hahn, Maura Gillespie, great to see both of you. Great panel and a smart talk with us. Check out